All right, welcome to today's Alpha Live session, and thank you for taking the time to attend. I'm confident you will find the information shared today to be very valuable. My name is Joel Eglus, and I will be serving as your moderator. Today's session is sponsored by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC. The FDIC is an independent federal agency created by Congress to maintain stability and public confidence in the nation's financial system. To accomplish this mission, the FDIC insures deposits, examines and supervises financial institutions for safety, soundness, and consumer protection. Today's discussion is focused on employee resource groups, or ERGs. Employers, both public and private, continue to strive to provide all employees an equitable and inclusive environment. Therefore, as a discussion around diversity and inclusion intensifies in our professional spaces, the concept of ERGs is increasingly discussed. So, what are ERGs? These are employee-led groups that foster inclusivity and build community based on a commonality such as race or ethnicity or gender or a shared experience, such as veterans or first-generation professionals. And so, with that definition in mind, I would like to introduce our panel for today. Our panelists are all board members for one of FDIC's ERGs, HOLA, which stands for the Hispanic Organization for Leadership and Advancement. So we have Marco De Antonio, who is an examination specialist from our Dallas region, Mario Diaz, an information technology examiner in our Dallas region as well, Alberto Navarrete, a consumer affairs specialist in our Chicago region, Adaí Santiago Pavon, a senior financial specialist in our headquarters in Arlington, Virginia, Susan Stanfield, an administrative assistant with the San Francisco region, and Isaac Hernandez, who is the former deputy director of infrastructure and coordinating detail with the innovation office in our headquarters. You will have an opportunity to hear from them as we jump right into our discussion. So I want to begin with a broad question to the panel. And so, Adaís, I'll start with you. So please tell us about your role within HOLA. Why did you decide to volunteer, and what impact have you experienced personally or professionally from being involved?
Thank you, Joel. Those are very nice questions. I joined HOLA in 2015 as the membership chairman, and currently I'm serving as the treasurer. As the membership chairman, I reach out to different individuals within the agency to make them aware about HOLA and their functions. I was responsible for sending out welcome communications to new members and for managing the HOLA newsletter. I also, together with the marketing chair, I informed the HOLA members about the activities that we have throughout the year, and I'll develop a recruitment plan and a manual describing the responsibilities of the membership chair, as well as the newsletter team for the production of the newsletter of HOLA. This was, to ensure the continuity of operations within the ERG group. As a treasurer, currently I am responsible for collecting funds for any sort of activities that requires those actions. But, as the pandemic is going along, we haven't been able, to do anything like that. So why I decided to join HOLA, essentially, I wanted to put other skills into action, I would say. And I wanted to foster diversity and inclusion in accordance with the agency goals. So essentially, prior to become a financial analyst, I was an examiner, and I didn't encounter too many Hispanics. So once I learned about the ERG, I wanted to contribute in a different capacity and make an impact within the agency. So essentially, in terms of the impact that the ERG has made in me and professionally, I would say I feel honored that I was given the opportunity to assist with the creation of this resource group and allowing others to feel more welcome and like a family. When individuals feel comfortable to reach out to you and want to be part of something bigger to help others, that provides a sense of community. And for me, that's very valuable.
Thank you, Alex. That's so important. That sense of community, which is kind of the idea with the IRG, right? Susan, would you mind sharing with us your role with Ola? Why did you decide to join, and how has that impacted your career and your personal development?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Joel, and thank you everyone for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So I am, as Joel mentioned, I am out of the San Francisco region in the administrative management section, and I'm the San Francisco chair and board member for OLA. And my position began in 2019 when I was actually attending a graduate school leadership course at the graduate school in Washington, D.C. And with that program, they encouraged us to reach out to do informational interviews to as many senior executives as we could. It was really an opportunity to reach out and to talk to people that we would not have otherwise been able to talk to had I not been in that program. And for me, I was a member of OLA, but for me, being back in Washington, it was an opportunity to meet, and I got a hold of the president of OLA at the time. And we had a wonderful conversation about OLA, how it started, and just really the enthusiasm to broaden the outreach for our community, for Hispanic employees, and that kind of thing. And so we had a really nice conversation. It piqued my interest, and within a couple of months, the opportunity came about to represent the San Francisco region as the San Francisco chair. So she nominated me for the San Francisco chair, and that's when I began my position. And for me, it's been I've been with the corporation for quite some time, 20 plus years. And so for me, in the last few years, I think the strides that we've taken as a group has just been phenomenal. I think the support that we've seen from division directors and the chairman has been quite good, and more than it's ever been that I've seen during my tenure. And the support network that I have been able to get with each other, as well as sharing similar backgrounds, has just been very enlightening. And I think for me, the impact for my to improve leadership with the group and to share that with some of my colleagues in San Francisco has been great. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. Alberto, can we get your thoughts on that? Tell us, please, what your role with OLA is, and how did you get involved, and how have you seen that impact you?
Sure. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alberto Navarrete, and I am a consumer affairs specialist out of the Chicago office, and I am the Chicago region chair for OLA. I have been with the FDIC almost 37 years, and I have seen many changes in those years. But my reason for volunteering is because at the beginning, when I joined the FDIC, I didn't see many people that I could relate to, that I could identify with. And I felt like the only ERG at that time was management, and I couldn't even join that. I couldn't be part of that ERG, so to speak. And I like helping people. I like helping anyone or everyone at anything that I can do. It just gives me personal satisfaction. And after so many years of being involved in groups, sometimes of diversity groups within the FDIC, especially at the beginning, it was very difficult to recognize those groups within the FDIC, even though they were officially groups created or with the okay from management. It seemed like it was just window dressing. And now I'm getting close to retirement, and I have seen big changes. I have seen big changes. And with OLA, I saw a great opportunity for me to join and network with other people, and let people know that we have a group that others can identify with. For instance, I was born in León, Guanajuato, in Mexico, and even though I've been here for so many years, I still have my roots in Mexico. I still think in Spanish. My first language is Spanish. And just joining this group gave me a great feeling because I could talk to others in Spanish. I could tell them something that they would be able to understand. I could even learn from others because even though we are Latinoamericanos, we still have our own differences within each group. But it's a great family. It's a great joy to be just part of Ola and have the opportunity to join this kind of group.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's so important, that sense of belonging, like you were saying, for us to feel like we belong in a place, we have a sense of community. That's so important. So thank you for sharing that. Marco, can we get your thoughts? Do you mind sharing with us what your role with Ola is, and why did you decide to get involved, and how have you seen an impact in your personal and professional development?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marco D'Antonio, and I am a examination specialist IT from the Dallas Regional Office. And I am the current president of OLA, serving a 2-year term. And I lead a wonderful, energetic team of board members in the OLA to promote the OLA mission. I have been an OLA member back since 2015 when it was created. But there was a time that I took a hiatus from the organizations due to my work schedule. I realized the importance of the ERG due to my work in different offices, which I was the only Hispanic employee, or there were only a small number of Hispanic employees represented. Being an OLA has given me a great exposure to other Hispanic employees throughout our organization, which has approximately about 85 offices throughout the whole United States. Sharing ideas on improving our work environment, teaching other non-Hispanics our culture, and most important, networking, helping one another when job opportunities are offered, connecting and knowing there are others like me, even if I am in an office with few or no other Hispanic employees. And that is the reason I continue to be involved in OLA.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Marco. I think a lot of us have gone through that, right? When we go into an office and we feel like we're the only Hispanic there, or we may not see somebody that looks like us in the organization, in the office. And so ERGs provide such a great opportunity to, like you said, to network, get to know people, even if they're across the country, right? Just in the panel, we have folks all the way from San Francisco, coast to coast. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Mario, can we get your thoughts on that? If you don't mind sharing what your role with OLA is, why did you decide to get involved, and how have you seen that impact your professional or personal development?
Thank you, Joel. Hola, buenas tardes. I'm Mario Diaz. I'm an information technology examiner in the Dallas region out of the Dallas field office. My role in the Hispanic Organization for Leadership and Advancement, OLA, is to serve as the vice president. And as the vice president, I perform many tasks. And the number one is to support OLA's mission to facilitate a more inclusive workplace. Also assist in developing I'm sorry, did you lose me?
Yeah, we lost you for a quick second, but we can hear you now.
Okay, I apologize for that. I'm having internet issues. But as the vice president, there's many things that I have, there's many tasks that I accomplish. The number one task is to assist and support OLA's mission to facilitate a more inclusive workplace. I also assist in developing strategies to support regional and national diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and maintaining good communication with our board members to provide important information of the accomplishment of our goals and objectives. The reason why I decided to join OLA was because being part of the employee resource group, Hola would allow me to network with other Hispanics within the FDIC and other agencies. It would also provide me with a supportive work environment and also personal development. I joined Hola in 2015 and I enjoyed every moment of it. I enjoyed working with the board and all the members, and expanding Hola is always something good for all of us. Thank you, Joel.
Thanks for sharing that, Mario. You mentioned Ola's mission, and I'll come back to that in a second. But first, I want to get Isaac's thoughts on this too. Isaac, you have a unique role with Ola, so if you don't mind sharing with us what your role is with Ola, and why did you decide to get involved, and how have you benefited or seen that impact your personal professional development?
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you, and good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, wherever you're at watching this for ALPFA. It's very hard for me to come right behind these tremendous panelists here, and I'll tell you why in a minute, because there's a trend, obviously, as everybody gives their experiences here. So just to introduce myself, and my apologies, I had some technical issues earlier. I didn't hear anything. I am the former Deputy Director of Infrastructure Services here at the FDIC. That's just a fancy way of saying that I'm responsible for all the IT here at the FDIC. I am currently a temporary assignment in the innovation office here, and I've been away for a year now. So it looks like I'll be continuing to do that from here on out. As we continue this conversation here, what my role is, I am the executive sponsor of Hola, and unlike Mario or Marco earlier, who was saying they were serving a 2-year term, I don't have a term limit unless somebody kicks me out. So I'm hoping that they're going to keep me around a little bit. But the why and the impact for me, and there's a trend here that everyone is saying from the panelist perspective, and I have the same thing, community and so on and so forth. For me, I just like to explain it in 2 different ways. It's historically pretty personal for me, and there's 2 points or 2 stories that I like to add to it, and then I'll just hand the floor back to Joel. For one, we talk about the sense of community. I recall being an 18-year-old Marine, being stationed, my first duty station in Albany, Georgia, and this is at the time when, you know, the only Hispanics in the States were really those from the military, those that were stationed in military bases and forts in Georgia. When I go out in town, you know, I wouldn't see anybody, just like Alberto mentioned earlier. I wouldn't see anybody like me or something, or like Arais or Alberto to play stickball with me, and so on and so forth. So that created a lot of homesickness, and in adding that, you know, it also added some isolation, just to add to that word. I haven't heard anybody say isolation yet, but I felt isolated. It's kind of like being that last person on the last kid on the playground, being the last person being picked, or not being picked at all, because I was the only one around. So in that sense, the Marine Corps itself is pretty diverse based on their recruitment efforts. So in every duty station, I would gravitate and join whatever the social Hispanic, they didn't call them ERGs, but the social Hispanic group at the time. Again, Hispanic community, you know, Hispanic empowerment with each other, learn from each other, networking, and so on and so forth. Everything that everybody said. Once I got out the Marines, and every company that I ever worked for, I worked in various different companies. It was the same thing, you know, joining an ERG, inclusion, familiar with the culture of the company, networking, and so on and so forth. But one important thing, and this is the second point that I will make to this, is that as I continued in my career and progressively climbed the ladder into leadership roles, as the one that I am here at the FDIC, it was a trend, specifically in my field, and you've heard it announced throughout my regular panelists. But there weren't many managers, there weren't many leaders in the positions that looked like everyone on this panel, and those of you out there listening to our panel here. And, you know, I remember my mom always telling me and promoting me to help people, specifically Hispanics, right? Basically, she was trying to say to pay it forward, right, to every individuals. And one day, as an up-and-coming executive myself, I had an opportunity to meet a Hispanic CEO. I was shocked. Boom, it blew my mind, because at the time, I didn't know There was other Hispanics in leadership positions, and he was coming in for a conference in Washington D.C. where we're located, where I'm located, and someone set it up that I can have 30 minutes to talk with him for breakfast right before conference he was coming in. It was awesome. We had 30 minutes. We sat there, we ate breakfast, we talked. I asked him questions. He asked me questions. We talked about each other's backgrounds. And to tell you the truth, to this day, there's things that he told me in that conversation that I still use today in my day-to-day working career experience. What he did, what was more important that he taught me that day really was he re-emphasized what my mother was saying, which was basically paying it forward. And for me, as I think back at that time, I think here's a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, Hispanic CEO, who took the time out to meet with me, right, during a time frame of in IT, because that's the field that I'm in, that the mantra or the saying that if you had lunch, you were lunch was part of the lexicon was just very impactful for me. It reiterated what my mom said, and I knew what he was doing too. He was this very busy individual. So from that point on, I've always made it a point for me to spend time with people and do the same thing. So as the executive sponsor, for me, that is one of the most important parts of it, right? It's everybody, every one of my panelists, including the moderator here, Joel, are members of ALA. They are on the board. I am proud and honored and privileged to be serving right next to them. But we've each and every one of us had individual conversations with each other. And for me, the role as the executive sponsor is not only to guide the organization, but to make everybody feel included, to give that person, to show. I don't want people to think how I felt when I was 18. I don't want people to think how they were in their career and say that they couldn't be in a position where I was in, right? It's all about the diversity, the equity, and specifically the inclusion of this. So I'm going to leave it right there, Joel, and I'll pass the mic back to you. But it's just encouraging to hear everyone else on the panel and hearing that we have a lot of similar experiences and how we would join an ERG and the importance of ERG. And that would be continue to be honored and privileged to be serving with this crew.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Isaac. I can, like you said, when you feel homesick, I can personally say, and I've experienced, if you're Hispanic and you hear somebody speak Spanish or you have that connection of culture, it just makes it feel at home in a certain
Absolutely.
sense. So that's why ERGs are so important. But I want to kind of connect two things. You mentioned inclusion a couple of times, and Mario in his answer also mentioned OLA's mission. So I want to share with the group OLA's mission, which is to strengthen and promote the inclusion of all employees at every level in our workplace. Now, I kind of want to put our OLA president and vice president here on the hot seat for a second. We talk about the value that ERGs bring, right? So for Marco and Mario, and I'll start with Mario, how have you seen this mission come to fruition in a practical and tangible way?
Sorry, I was on mute.
No worries. Go ahead, Mario. I'm not sure if we lost Mario.
That's the world of
Marco,
virtual.
Marco, why don't we go with you while hopefully Mario's connection is restored.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Great question. And, as with this, it's it's very exciting to talk about this because, as I say, FDIC is listening and paying attention. That's what really comes out of this one, because earlier last year, OLA was asked by executive management to provide their thoughts on potential recruitment strategies in support of FDIC's diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts specifically for Hispanics. And one of OLA's primary mission was to reinforce the FDIC's recruitment strategies and advancement of Hispanics in spirit of supporting diversity and inclusion. And the opportunity to provide grassroots input was ecstatically accepted by this request by executive management. OLA's efforts focus on three key areas and proposing various supporting initiatives. First, it was the pipeline, increase our potential candidate pipeline of Hispanic students from high school to college. Second, partnerships, create new and strengthen existing partnerships with Hispanic organizations, for example, like ALPFA. And third, finally, retention and growth, increase retention rates and engagement of current Hispanic employees and assist in career development and growth. So, all our members represented FDIC at various Infinity Organization conference presentations, which included Alpha, Haku, Prospanica, LULAC, and others. This is an example of strengthening our partnership. And as you can imagine, a lot of time and work was involved in developing this strategy. And the proposal was presented, and it was well received by the director of the Office of Minority and Women Inclusion Division, ANWI, as we, I'll refer to it. For me personally, this demonstrated that executive management saw the value that OLA could bring to this FDIC initiative. And this is an example of how our mission has become tangible.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Marco. And we have Mario back. So, Mario, do you mind answering that question? How have you seen the mission of OLA come to fruition in a tangible way?
Thank you, Joel. We have a snow day here in the Dallas metro area, so I'm thinking that we have a lot of users using the internet right now, so that's why I'm having internet connections. But I see OLA's mission come to fruition every day, Joel. We have a board that's very engaged. Our executive sponsor and the president are very hands-on. Isaac Hernandez, I mean, you just heard him. He's outstanding. And our president, Marco de Antonio, super hands-on. He always has ideas along with the board. The board is amazing. We have an amazing board right now. So we are always meeting regularly to make sure that we are listening to our members, also ensuring that that our mission is also tangible. Now, there's something that I'd like to point out. ERGs within the FDIC are not affiliated with labor organizations. We don't really negotiate with management officials on personal matters or terms and conditions of employment. However, ERGs within the FDIC are designed to support the FDIC's mission in accomplishing, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, accomplishing those goals. So that's why the ERGs are an important platform for all of us. OLA has collaborated with other divisions. For example, we promoted and participated in the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. We also performed within the Hispanic Serving Institution Week Town Hall. Several of our members participated in various capacities in these different events. We also organize meetings for our members that we call cafecitos. In these meetings, we learn about our roots, we learn about our traditions, Hispanic music, and we even celebrated El Día de los Muertos, right? We also invite speakers from the FDIC's Career Management Services, and they talk about how we can strengthen our resumes and how we can analyze job opportunities. So these are all great platforms for all of us. On the networking front, our founder and former president of OLA, Paola Diaz, organized and hosted the first interagency
It sounds like we're losing Mario again.
Okay, am I here? Can you hear me, Joel?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mario. Sorry, it keeps it cut off for a second. Go ahead.
I'm very sorry. This is a local issue over here, but I was talking about Paola Diaz. She's the former OLA president. She's the founder as well, and she prepared an event where high-ranking Hispanics at other agencies like the NCUA, the SEC, OCC, CFPB, FRB. Those are a lot of acronyms, but all of those are agencies for the United States of America government. So all of those high-ranking Hispanics had a platform to, to present what are their challenges or what are their missions or their goals. Obviously, our executive sponsor Isaac Hernandez participated in that conference as well, but that's just an example of the efforts that, as a group, we have performed in of what the Hola Familia has been able to accomplish. Okay, this is just an example of those goals that are tangible, Joel.
Yeah, thank you, Mario. I appreciate that. I want to ask a couple more questions of the panel, but I just want to remind our audience, if anybody has any questions, feel free to put those in the comments. We will have some time at the end for Q&A, but feel free to start sending those questions in if you have any. All right, so next question is going to go to Adais. So Adais, we talked about the importance, the impact of ERGs. How important would you say it's for an organization, for a company, to have ERGs available to their employees?
I apologize. My mic was mute. Like Mario and others have stated throughout our presentation, in our case, ERGs assist the agency in achieving their diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. By allowing the existence of ERGs by the agency is recognizing that we bring value to the workplace by helping employees to find other informal resources to support employees' needs. In this case, we encourage networking. We collaborate outside the workplace to help employees develop and explore other skill sets that they may not be able to perform in their job-to-day job duties. It allows employees to find other connections within the workplace and outside the workplace. So I would say it's very important because it recognizes that, once again, employees are diverse and everyone can contribute to a common goal and assist employees with their personal or career development.
You're on mute, Joel.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was on mute too. So to kind of build on that question, Alberto, you're very involved in recruitment at the FDIC. You participate in several events with colleges, universities. A lot of our audience members may be college students, but even in the working professionals, I think all of us at one point are going to consider a career move. So my question to you, Alberto, is do you think as a candidate, is it important to pay attention when you apply to a company whether they have ERGs or not?
I believe it's important because, at least in my opinion, because I think that will give a candidate a sense of relief as far as having a group that he or she can identify with. ERGs just are win-win for the organization and the employees. The employee networking is a big one. It's a great opportunity for networking. It's a great opportunity for career development and growth, cultural awareness, workplace engagement, mentoring, training, and leadership skills. So all that put together will be a plus for any candidate if they join an organization that has an ERG or ERGs that he or she can explore about being part of. And it's, like I said, it's a win-win for both the organization and the employee.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Alberto. Now, Isaac, you mentioned that you've been in different organizations and
Yes.
you've had ERGs, so you've had experience with some of these. How important would you say is for an organization to offer ERGs to their employees?
Well, and just to back up what Alberto was already saying in ARAIS, it's extremely important. As we mentioned the terms that we mentioned earlier about community and networking, specifically networking to me is a big one. Not only from a company's perspective, understanding the diversity and bringing fresh ideas, not only from a diversity from a cultural perspective, but the diversities from different ideas and so on and so forth, which is a part of diversity that people really don't talk about. They always automatically think of cultural diversity, but I mean, diversity of thought is very important as well. To me, from the importance of ERGs for the individual, and I like to go straight, I like to change it all over to the individual perspective, is extremely important, not only from that perspective, but from the career development of each other, right? For instance, as we have mentioned earlier in my previous example, I talked about how individually I've had conversations with everyone on this board. I've had various conversations, not only with the members of the board members, but all our ERG members too. I make myself available with that, and I've helped other individuals learn how to navigate through their career. Like, hey, listen, I want to move from being an examiner, let's say, just using an example, an examiner, to working in the IT field. Isaac, I want to do this. What do you think? And I've given them coaching advice. In the private sector, I've done the same thing as well, and I've also benefited that from as well. In one of the private sector companies I work for, and I'm going to keep that particular company aside, I was the executive sponsor as well of an ERG group that wasn't specifically tailored to a Hispanic community, but it was just overall diversity. So there was African Americans, there was Asian Americans, so on and so forth. And in there, it was the same conversation, right? The importance of having that employee resource group and the ability to network within it. I can tell you from my personal experiences, some of the members that I've known have moved and advanced in their careers just from having those kind of informal relationships within the ERG. I can tell you that I was too in that particular case, because in that case, I was actually laid off in the private sector at one time, and a month later, I had a different job within the same company, and it was due to some connections that I had in that ERG. So I want to stress the importance that not only from a communal perspective and a communal getting together with other Hispanics, but we really look at, the mission of ALPFA, right? ALPFA being the Latino Professionals of America, right? You got to look at what you're benefiting from the ERGs and how to really utilize the relationships that you're building within the ERGs to really help you navigate within your career, whether you're doing a career change or whether you're trying to move up in the world, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're staying within your field and getting to know really more different diverse ways of doing your job. I can't stress that enough, that not only the importance of the community, of the company, because I would tell you a saying that I tell people a lot: it's not about the entity, it's about the people. And if it's the people that you're dealing with, it's the people that you need to really have that community and use that to the best of your ability. No one's going to give you anything, right? But the employee group is going to give you something. It's going to give you that advice, it's going to give you that who to talk to. Hey, Joe, hey, I need to talk to someone about examinations. You know what? Mario, he's the vice president of OLA. He's an examiner. Let me introduce you to him. And then I have that conversation, and guess what? I'm starting to learn more and more. So I just wanted to stamp that onto the last question that you had as well.
Yeah, appreciate that. We've touched directly and indirectly on a lot of different benefits, how we have benefited from being in an ERG, and of course I will agree with that. I've benefited greatly, and networking, I think, of course, is the main one. But Susan, along those lines, if we have an audience member that perhaps is not sure if it's worth investing the time getting involved, what would you say to someone like that? How would you summarize the benefits for an employee from their perspective in joining an ERG? You're on mute, Susan.
Thank you for that. I have to say, just listening to everybody's, thoughts and sort of thinking back to just a few years ago when I was a member, as opposed to being involved with the board. When I had decided to be a member, for me, I had the perspective like, okay, let's just, it's something different. It's something fun. I like to meet new people, and I hadn't done it before. So basically at that time, it was more of a social thing for me. It was a way to meet new people from, not just in my region, but across the corporation. And as I got more involved, it was so much more than just meeting new people and practicing my Spanish on a lunch and learn cafecito and those types of things. It became so much more personal because when I think back to when I started my government career 25 years ago, I mean, I was like jumping into this professional career that I didn't have that guidance. I didn't have that support network or, someone to just run things by and, how do I approach this manager or how do I approach my career and who can I ask? There's just so many questions when you're just coming out of college or just entering into the professional workforce. I think it's highly valuable, and you're going to get so much more than you realize going in. So, my advice is to definitely look into it. If the company offers employee resource groups, it's definitely worth it, and it's very enriching.
Thank you for that, Susan. We're coming to the end here, and we definitely want to have some time for Q&A. And I believe we have a question already. So let me see if I can pull that up. And it's coming from Ernesto. Ernesto, thank you for sending that in. Ernesto's asking, he says, I'm a vice president of my university's finance club, but we're having some trouble getting kids motivated to come to the club to learn, even with many great benefits. How have you guys had trouble getting engagement, or have advice to dealing with it? I think the lack of diversity could be a prevalent issue.
Hey,
Any
Joe.
thoughts? Yeah.
Joe, I can kick off this one. Ernesto, thank you for the question. As I read your question, and hopefully, of course, we don't have a voice-to-voice interaction here, so I can't really get more clarity. If I'm reading your question right, for me, I think that it's an issue of recruitment, and I think a lot of companies, whether it's a private sector company, a government agency, or university, nonprofit whatsoever, I think there's an issue of recruitment. And I think that's a similar kind of a theme here. What you're saying, you have a club here, you have all these benefits that you want to do, but how do you get them motivated? How do you recruit them in to your organization? And I would say that I would kin this to regular recruitment for any organization, in that you have to show that diversity. You have to show that there's somebody that they could really relate to. In the FDIC, one of the strategies that Marco and Mario was talking about that we presented was to have more recruiters, more Hispanic recruiters and members of ALPFA being present in these recruiting events, right? If we go to ALPFA and the members of ALPFA is out there and we all look like this, but we show somebody that doesn't look like us in our community itself, it's very, very difficult, because we're already not going to be trustworthy. But I'm going to see somebody like Joe, and I'm going to look at him. First of all, he's reminding me I need a haircut. But second, I'm going to look at Joe. I'm like, hey, Joe, I see your last name. Hey, I'm Hernandez, and we're going to start talking. So that's going to pull me in as an individual. So I think your last statement there, the lack of diversity, can be a prevalent issue. I strongly believe that's it. I don't know your makeup of your club, your financial club, or where your university is, but I strongly believe that it's a similar issue with recruitment, in my opinion. Anybody else would like to tag on to that? That's the way I read that question.
Yes, this is Alberto. I would like to add that I'm not sure what the finance club is about, or who the kids are, but maybe Ernesto can invite somebody from the FDIC and talk about our Money Smart program.
Absolutely.
And that's a program that it's available for all ages, people of all backgrounds, so all levels of education. So that could be an option, and the program is free of charge. So all the resources from the Money Smart program can be available to those who join the Finance Club or can learn more about that.
Uh-oh. Looks like Alberto's going to be contacting Ernesto.
Yeah, thank you for that, Alberto. I mean, I think, Ernesto, to Alberto's point, people need to perceive value for them to invest their time. And like Alberto was saying, just partnering with companies that are willing to go out there and provide these events where you can invite students to attend, that should definitely help bring some interest and some new eyes. So thank you for that question again, Ernesto. I believe we have another question.
Looks like a comment, Joe.
Yeah, it looks like a comment. It says, I love Hola, although I'm not in Spanish. All the members, such as Mario Diaz. It looks like Mario's paid somebody to do the props here. Marco, Alais have all been welcoming to me to your organization presenting the FDIC. So thank you so much for that comment. We appreciate that.
Actually, Joel, Jesse is an Ola member as well, so he's a great friend to all of us. And Jesse, thank you very much for your support. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much for the support, Jesse.
Well, I don't see any more questions coming in. So I would just ask, maybe we can go around and wrap up with some final thoughts on the discussion. Again, the goal was benefits from ERG. So if you guys want to share 2 or 3 words, I don't mean literally 2 or 3 words, some final thoughts on to our audience on the benefit of ERGs. Susan?
Well, I would just like to say that definitely, if there is one available at your place of employment, to definitely look into it. I think that had I known about this earlier in my career, or if it was available, I definitely would have benefited having maybe an informal or a formal mentor, perhaps who was a Hispanic female in my office, someone to look up to and ask questions to, and who could really relate to my background and just share experiences and have that sort of that go-to person.
Thank you, Susan. Mark, any closing thoughts?
Sorry. Yes, one of the things, again, is, it's important to, if there is an ARG within your organization, yes, go into it. I mean, even though if you're not too sure, just attend the meeting, look at the membership, see what they're offering, see what kind of benefits you can get out of there. But one of the things that I learned with our ARG and Ola, it's sharing ideas. If you're a member, if you have ideas, share it with them. It's very important that you share your ideas with everybody else, and especially, the president, vice president, or the board, to ensure that, they hear you too, because, they're there as part of us, as president and my board. We're here to serve our memberships. We're not here for us. We're here to serve it, our members. This position here in our ARG with FDIC is voluntary. And again, we do it because we want to do it, and we want to serve our Hispanic community within FDIC. So that's why we treasure our Ola, ERG here at FDIC. But yes, look at yours, looking into it, and really, see what the benefits that you can get out of it, because there's a lot that you can, makes you feel a place where you can go to, especially in the workforce where there are few Hispanics and the staff and the employment of an organization.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Alais, any closing thoughts?
I echo what everybody has said throughout the presentation. If you have an ERG in your organization, just join and see what they do, what they stand about, and look for those connections. You know, when you relate to people and talk to people, you can go a long way. So just try it and be brave and volunteer.
Thank you. Alberto.
Yes. Well, ERG is the FDIC has 9 different types of ERGs. So it's not just for Hispanics. But if you're a Hispanic and in your organization there's no ERGs, go ahead and start one. Start one yourself. And so don't let that stop you. If you don't have any ERGs in your organizations, go ahead and be the first one to start. Be a pioneer. And if anybody has any questions, whether it's now or later, or you're not sure about it, or even if one comes up later, my contact information will be listed at the end of the presentation, and I'll be more than happy to help you in whatever way I can, either from my personal experiences or from other people that I have heard of. But I'm here to help you, and I'm sure the rest of the panel are here to help anyone as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Isaac, any closing thoughts?
Sure. Again, like it's hard to come behind these guys. I mean, I don't know why he's filling me last, but I'll say this: you are the CEO of your career. Everything you do in your career happens because you made the decision and took a calculated risk. Like a CEO at a company, established partnerships with other like-minded companies. You join an ERG will do the same to you and help you navigate your career. There are plenty of hermanos y hermanas ready and willing to help you and apoyarte. So that's all I'll say on that.
Thank you, Isaac. Mario, any closing thoughts?
Thank you, Joel. Well, ERGs are very important, and if you have one in your organization, please take advantage of it. I think joining an employee resource group will give you a good network, okay, like-minded network. Also, it will give you opportunities for mentoring, or also, receive mentorship from someone that you admire. It will open up opportunities, and it will definitely make you feel like a community. Okay, so what I can say from my experience at Ola is that it's been a positive impact in my life, and we are also living a positive impact for the Hispanic employees at the FDIC, and we hope to continue that task, and we hope that we encourage you to join one or develop one at some point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. I appreciate that. And once again, we just want to thank everybody for attending today's session. We hope you found it valuable. We thank the FDIC for sponsoring the event. And if you would like to explore career opportunities at the FDIC, you can do so by clicking on the link below. You also can join our talent network. And that's to stay up to date with upcoming positions. So thanks again for the time. We appreciate it. Like Alberto mentioned too, at the end, you'll see all our contact information. Some of us will have an email, some of us will have a LinkedIn profile. Feel free to connect. We would love to reach out, to talk, to build community. So once again, thank you. That concludes today's Alpha Live session, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.